Hello everyone, and welcome to Katharine's Creatures. This is episode 122, and this is a series where we're going to talk a little bit about and touch base upon various mythological creatures, beast beings, and the like pulled from lore worldwide. And I always like to preface by saying that I am not a linguist, so if I mispronounce anything along the way, I do apologize in advance. And I also wanted to jump back over to Greek mythology. And Greek mythology is one of those mythos that is better known, but they have such a huge slew, a plethora of entities and beings and deities and demigods and all sorts of fun things that there's a lot to offer, including the particular character I'm going to be talking about today, and this is Argus, or Argus Panoptes. And Panoptes actually translates to all-seeing. It is an epithet, so it is a tagged on or a by name of Argus, and the concept of all-seeing potentially, don't know which way it stemmed out with this kind of by name coming first, about being all-seeing, and then loosely being translated into multiple or plenty of eyes. And so Argus is usually depicted with having more than two, at the very least, four or more. And could have been all the way the other way around, where he was always depicted that way, and then the epithet was tagged on after. Don't really know, but let's get back to the main part of who Argus is and why he's important. Now, his origin story varies dramatically depending on the particular author of the work, and so his parentage could be one of many pairings of beings or deities or demigods throughout Greek myth. And I'm not going to necessarily go into all that because I'll pull away from his main story. In his main story, because of the fact that he had multiple eyes, again, sometimes four, most often usually associated with 100 eyes, but again, a lot. And because of this, he was always thought to be able to never sleep and be eternally watchful, which is very essential for the task that the goddess Hera gave him, which was to eternally watch Io. And we'll get into Io in 1 second, but the fact of the matter is that he was never supposed to sleep, or in some more modern interpretations, it was because he had these multiple eyes that certain eyes could close themselves and sleep while the other ones remained awake. So essentially, he was always awake. Either way, he was a great watchman. And so in the story of Io was a nymph and pursued by and loved by Zeus. We'll word it that way. And Hera, being the wife of Zeus and never liking Zeus's affairs or any of his little dalliances, actually takes Io, and when this nymph, is transformed into a cow, assigns Argus to watch the cow for eternity, essentially until the cow passes on and, Hera can resume life in this normal. But so Argus was tasked to watch Io and prevent Zeus ever from coming in contact with his ex-lover again. And Zeus did not like this. So Zeus actually reaches out to one of his children, Hermes, who's one of the younger members of the next generation. And if you know anything about Greek mythology, there are multiple generations of some of these deities or precursors to the deities. And each generation kind of has its own characteristics and vibes, Hermes being of one of the younger generations. Now, Hermes now has to figure out how to remove Io from Argus. The only way he can think of him is killing Argus. And so poor Argus, the watchman of 100 eyes, is tricked by what he perceives as a shepherd, and the shepherd casts spells upon him, and so all his eyes shut and he falls asleep for the first time ever. And while he's asleep, Hermes does the bad deed and kills Argus, allowing Io to escape. And Io, depending on the story, the most famous one being the fact that she eternally is free to wander the earth in the cow form, being plagued by a fly sent by Hera because her watchman failed. So at least she can do is pester this poor nymph turned into a cow until the day she dies by sending a fly to bite and pick at her. And so Io wanders all the way into Egypt and tries to swim away as far as he can from the life in the Greek known world, and but eternally is pestered. Love these Greek myths. Anywho, poor Hera, her watchman is no more. And so some of the myths actually say that because Hera was so distraught of the loss of Argus, that she took all of Argus's eyes and put them in her bird that represented who she was, the peacock. And so Argus's eyes are in the tail fan of the peacock, and you can see him there to this day. So that's one of the things of what happened to Argus, and it's kind of almost very sad. He was tasked by the god to do this one duty, other gods meddled in his affairs, and he was no more. Now, interestingly enough, this story of Argus and Io and Hermes was a game changer in the chronological nature of Greek myth, because the slaying of Argus was the first time any member of this young generation of gods drew blood, first blood. So, and then from there on, bloodshed was more and more of a commonplace in the myth and lore, leading all the way over to the Trojan War, and that's a story for another day. But anywho, I did want to bring to light the concept of Argus, the many-eyed giant from Greek myth. I actually utilize his namesake as one of my Watcher entities in one of my books series, the Jet Chronicles. He has the eyes and ears. That character is the eyes and ears of some other important figures in my book series. So I like that name, and I kind of applied it to a fantasy character in one of my works. If you have any questions about this or anything else from me, please reach out to me in the comments right here or on any of my social media. And until next time, everyone, Skål.